Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. We're here to talk about movies and movie news, TV and streaming, all those things that we love. Joining me here in studio today is our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Hello, everybody.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
You know, it's Thursday and I feel good.
It's an exciting day. You know what else? I'm going to go, as soon as this show's over, I'm going to go watch Mortal Kombat. And then later tonight, I'm going to go watch Sheep Detective.
I'm doing that tomorrow.
I'm looking forward to both of those. And keep your guys' eyes open on the channel for when I put my out-of-theater reactions to those up a little bit later. And listen, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about here today. But before we get started, a little bit of house cleaning. Want to remind you that in just a couple of weeks, we are starting up the next leg of the movie meetup tour. Of course, this is where we drive around the country, as you can see here, and we go to different theaters and meet up with viewers of the show. So here's where the next 4 stops are going to be. On Sunday, May the 24th, we're going to be in Columbus, Ohio at the Marcus Crosswoods Cinema for the 6:30 p.m. screening of Mandalorian. This is an all Mandalorian tour. So everybody in each city gets to see it once. Then, of course, on Tuesday, May 26th, we're going to be in the New York City area at the AMC Roosevelt Field 8. Again, that's on May 26th, Tuesday, for a 7:20 p.m. screening of Mandalorian and Grogu. The very next night, we're moving on over to the Boston area, where we are going to be at the AMC Braintree 10 for a 7:15 screening of The Mandalorian and Grogu. Again, that's Wednesday, May 27th. And then going home on Sunday, May 31st, we're going to be at the Cineplex Cinema Queensway and VIP in the Toronto area for a screening of Mandalorian and Grogu, but they have not started selling tickets for that date yet, so we don't have a time yet for Sunday, May 31st. So keep your eyes open when we do it. Now, the way the movie meetups work is really simple. If you want to come, you don't have to buy tickets for the movie meetup. Just go to the movie theater's website, buy a ticket to the screening, just like you're going to the movie normally, like we are, and we're going to be there. And then after the movie's done, we're going to be hanging out in front of the theater for an hour or so, just to take pictures, say hello, and meet everybody. So if you, by the way, maybe if you're in the New York area, it's sold out. I looked at it. The New York theater sold out. But if you're in the New York area, but you still kind of want to participate, just, look at the start time, calculate how long the movie is, and then come and meet us in front of the theater for a few minutes after that. Anyway, we'll look forward to seeing you guys on the next leg of the movie meetup tour. Okay, guys. With that down, like I said, we got a lot of stuff to talk about here today. So let's get things started with this. HBO has officially renewed its Harry Potter television series for a second season before the first season even fully finished production. The second season focuses, of course, on the second book in the J.K. Rowling series, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, with production scheduled to begin this fall with a tentative release window for the second season around Christmas of 2027, which means, oh my gosh, we're going to get seasons in back-to-back years. Imagine that. Now, this proactive renewal underscores the network's immense confidence in the high-budget reboot, which aims to provide a more faithful, long-form adaptation of the original novels that the movies just couldn't give you because of time constraints. Now, in addition to the renewal, the production has also promoted John Brown to co-showrunner. Now, Brown has won 1, 2, 3 Emmys for his work on writing HBO's Succession, and he will now lead the series alongside co-showrunner Francesca Gardner, who herself won 2 Best Series Emmys for producing Succession. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this? I mean, every series starts with the plan of being 10 seasons, but not many of them actually get the funding green light to go ahead and do a season 2. I think this shows a lot of confidence in what they've got already. They've already greenlight. They're signing the checks for season 2. What's standing out to you about this?
Well, first of all, writing. Television is a writer's medium. Showrunners, creators are usually the writers of the show as well. They have this A-list writing staff that's proven themselves in Succession and other things. And like you said, vote of confidence. I'm really interested in this series, in terms of how they can expand the books and how they can make it feel. I think it's going to have probably a little bit more of, to say it weird, it's going to sound strange, but a more of a real world feel to it. But more just because they have to make you believe for a lot longer than one movie does. You're going to be watching this. I'm sure it's a 10 episode series. So, and I think, look, every choice that I've seen them make for the most part, I think has been stellar. I mean, in terms of the cast, in terms of the writing, in terms of the look of the show, you know, and I'm really excited for this because I think that the level of writing is going to elevate the material. I would expect, I mean, is it going to be as good as, say, The Sopranos? Is it going to be as good as The Wire? Well, it's a fantasy show, but I think we're probably going to be getting one of the finest fantasy programs ever put on television.
Well, again, just
that's what I expect.
Look at who is behind this now. Because when you look at the producer, this was the first thing that got me kind of excited about, because I'm not a Potterhead, but I enjoy the movies.
Yeah.
But I'm not a Potterhead. But the thing that initially got me going, was when they first started announcing who were going to be the producers and writers on these things. And you were talking about like Emmy Award winners from top to bottom, not only the people who were making, guys, the people who made Succession are making this Harry Potter thing, but you also have writers and executive producers from Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon and a couple of other high profile Emmy caliber shows. And that gives me a lot of faith. And listen, that first trailer that they put out, that full trailer, it blew my socks off. I remember saying, like, take away the fact that it's this hugely popular series. Take away the fact that it's Harry Potter. If you just played that trailer for me in a vacuum, I would have gone, yeah, this is the next HBO show I can't wait to watch. This looks great. I got to tell you about this, though. You know, one little bit of controversy is you've had these people grasping at straws, trying to find things to complain about. And so obviously one of the first thing, the lowest common denominator, the lowest hanging fruit, people want to talk about race. And so everybody was jumping on the bandwagon, like complaining that they got a black actor to play Snape. They got a UK equivalent of a Broadway performer to play Snape. He's going to be awesome. But since they really want to have a problem with it, they reach so far where they go, okay, so why do we have a problem with this? Oh, I know. You know, in the books, the backstory is that Harry's dad and a bunch of his friends would bully Snape. And if Harry's dad's a white dude and Snape's a black dude, well, that's going to look like Harry's dad was racist. Of course, you know, then I just shoot at them. Make one or two of Harry's dad's friends black guys too. That totally takes away the race. But I heard this comedian the other day. I wish I could remember the name of the comedian. Forgive me for this. But he talked about this. He's going, yeah, the whole racism thing kind of ridiculous. He goes, however, the one thing that would maybe make it look a little racist is not Harry's dad. It's Harry. He goes, because in the books, like, Harry, for no actual reason, is really suspicious of Snape. Yeah, I don't trust that Snape guy. Why, Harry? I'm not sure. There's just something about him. And then he goes, now you make Snape the only black professor. It's like, so it's not Harry's dad that's the problem. It's Harry. Anyway. Yeah. So I think this looks great. And, you know, somebody in the chat earlier today was saying to me, well, why is this even a story? They were planning for 7 seasons. Guys, it's a story because every series plans to be a multi-season successful show, because everybody's got a plan till you get punched in the mouth, right? And so like every series, and by the way, I'm not convinced this show's going to make it all 7 seasons.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously they love what they've done with season 1. So they've greenlit and started signing checks and paying up the money for season 2, but not a lot of shows go 7 seasons.
Yeah.
And if this thing loses them money, well, they'll pull the plug on it, but hey, it's good to see they've already greenlit it. And I love the fact that instead of having to wait 3 years for the next season, we're going to watch season 1 this Christmas, and then we're going to get to watch season 2 next Christmas.
You literally can't, because these kids would be teenagers.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, welcome to year 2. They got
Harry's going to have like a big beard and everything. It's like, it's good to be back at Hogwarts.
Hello, fellow children.
Hey, fellow kiddies. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? They have officially greenlit and started signing over the money to make season 2 of Harry Potter before they've even finished shooting season 1. Maybe for some people that's not a surprise. The fact that they are moving ahead with it, I think, is a good sign of confidence. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? According to a new report in Variety, more than half of Gen Z consumers practice churning when it comes to their streaming services, a behavior where you subscribe to a service for a single high-profile title like a movie or a television series or whatever, and then immediately cancel once they finish that movie or that season of television. Now, this one-show mentality has contributed to a volatile streaming landscape, with overall churn rates sitting at approximately 41% and climbing as high as 52% among millennials. The trend is largely driven by rising subscription costs and a lack of perceived value in permanent libraries on these streamers, as younger audiences increasingly view streaming services as kind of like a utility-like tool to be toggled on and off rather than having a long-term commitment to it. Now, in a surprising contrast to their digital-first reputation, Gen Z has also emerged as the most active demographic in going to the movie theaters, revitalizing the traditional movie-going experience. According to the study, 87% of Gen Zers visited a movie theater at least once this year, averaging 7 visits a year, more than any other age demographic or generation. For this generation, the theater is seen as a communal social destination where they can share experiences with their friends. Also, and this will be close to Rob's heart, the report shows that 71% of Gen Zers don't ever purchase any form of physical media, such as CDs, vinyls, DVDs, or Blu-rays. Rob, there are a number of things that surprised me in this. First of all, I would have thought that the older generations would be more apt to churning on streaming than the younger. Number two, I wouldn't have guessed that this, 29 to 16-year-old demographic, this Gen Zer demographic, would be the ones leading the charge in the resurgence of the movie-going experience. And I was a little surprised to find out that as high as 71% don't ever buy any kind of form of physical media. So there's a lot to take in here with this report. Which of these things is standing out to you the most?
Well, I think that, this generation is not, I don't think they're people, they might sit around and doom scroll on their phones, but I don't think the things that they watch I think they probably lead a very curated life. They don't plop themselves down in front of the TV and watch stuff for hours on end. They probably watch specific things like Stranger Things. That's where the popularity goes. They're those because they become cultural events. They become the kind of events that their friends can participate in. They talk about it. It becomes a thing. But they're not going to sit there and watch like 4 hours of sitcoms the way I used to do when I came home from junior high or elementary school. So I think that's part of it. And going to the movies. I mean, it is kind of having now spent this year, I've gone to double features almost every week this year. And it's been interesting to observe the culture in, especially the Regal Spectrum or going to the Harkins Mountain Grove. There is a culture, there is a youth culture of movie going that I've noticed. And it is friends. It's groups of people. They get together. Sometimes it's a lot of dates. I notice a lot of guys and girls going on dates, which is good. A lot of friends. And they're going to see the movies. I see a lot of people coming out for those first weekends. And when something like Markiplier made Iron Lung, those seats were packed. Mm-hmm. They were packed. And so it is they're very, if movie going has some kind of not just the movie itself, but some kind of a social media component. They're seeing stuff about it. People are turning out because I think it becomes cultural, which I think is cool because that was kind of the way it was for me when I was younger. Now, about the physical media thing, more people are buying physical media now than they've bought in the last 10 years. There's been a 20 to 25% drop in physical media sales every year.
Every year, yeah.
Now the drop is way less. Though I think in 2025
it's still dropping, but it's not as much of a drop.
9%.
Right.
And they're seeing people buy because it's the same kind of thing. People are finding things that they like. They're going back to older material. They're buying things that they can now curate in their own collections. And I think the reason anybody bought anything is because it's a representation of the self. You're buying things that you like, and when you put them on your shelf, they're a representation of you. What is it you like? What are your tastes?
Much like Hot Toys.
Much like Hot Toys, although I'm buying much less of those. But there's more of them. But I think look, it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing driving. We're seeing the box office, if you look at the numbers this year, especially with the last month, is kind of on fire.
Yeah.
And
this is going to be a very good year for the box
And I'll tell you
office.
something. I'm really excited to see Billie Eilish, the Hit Me Hard and Soft concert film, because, they showed that, I guess, at IMAX, the headquarters, and they shot it in IMAX in high frame rate. And people are saying it's like looking out a window, because unlike film, it's like you are there because it's an event. So I love the fact that James Cameron teamed up with Billie Eilish and they co-directed her concert movie. Those kinds of things, you've got a guy in his 70s doing a Billie Eilish concert film. I think that's great for the whole ecosystem, because then people like that James Cameron, he's not afraid to mix it up with those young people. So I think all of this is boding well for entertainment, really.
Yeah, I mean, what really gets me too is that I remember a few years ago talking about it, saying like the average film goer, the average person is going to the movies 3 to 5 times a year. This Gen Z demographic is exceeding that. Like the average one is going 7 times a year, which is phenomenal. And again, I really like the fact that the study pointed out one of the first thing they pointed out was the fact that they want the shared experiences with their friends.
Yes.
Right? You actually want to go to theater. We're going to talk about that also in just a minute. So I thought that was wild. Again, the physical media thing, it's difficult because, like you said, the slide has slowed down.
Right.
The slide has slowed down, but it's still sliding.
Yeah.
And God, it was just last week, like another Chinese Blu-ray manufacturer shut down again, or at least discontinued their Blu-ray products. That's going to be tough. But yeah, a lot of this is really interesting. And again, it really highlights that the number one enemy for streaming right now isn't even piracy. The number one enemy for streaming is churning. And they're going to do everything they can over the next while to try to get people to slow down their churning. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently, Gen Zers are the ones who are churning the most, but they're also going to the movie theaters the most, and they're not buying a lot of music or visual entertainment in hard copy physical media. Whatever stands out to you guys the most, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, we talked about the other day how The Boys is now going to have its series finale in select movie theaters, 4DX theaters, across the country, a day before it drops on Prime Video. And we kind of took a quick look, and we saw that the tickets were selling fast. Here we are one day later. Essentially speaking, I'm sure you can find some crumbs here and there. Generally speaking, this thing is now sold out. Like almost everywhere. If we go over to the ticket sites, all right, this is just opening up like the eight closest theaters to me. All right, let's check out the Regal Ontario place. Let's see, and it's nope. Orange button here says sold out. Okay, well that's sold out. Let's go to the next one down. Irvine Spectrum, which is where I'm going to go see it. Oh no, orange button sold out. Okay, so it's completely sold out. We go down to the Regal Garden Grove. Sure, there's going to be no orange button.
Man, it's
sold
a late
out.
screening too, 9:30.
Yep, and then we go down to the the Long Beach. Let's see if they got any tickets in Long Beach.
Oh, are you human? Oh, there you are. You're
Oh,
human. Oh, Long Beach, here we come.
If you are somebody who uses a wheelchair, they have one wheelchair accessible ticket.
It's fine. Someone kicked my knee in.
Somebody caused me some damage. So essentially speaking, The Boys is sold out, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's just sold out. So the question we got to ask here is, why, for a TV show, that people, if they wait one day, not 1 week, not 1 month, not 1 year, they can wait one day, watch this thing at home, why are people rushing out to go see, and why in 24 hours have all these screenings sold out
Gen
for The
Z,
Boys
baby.
finale? What's that?
It's Gen Z.
It's
We just
Gen
covered
Z's
this.
doing it. We just told you. Well, I want to propose, I came up with what I believe are 5 reasons. 5 reasons why The Boys are selling out. So let's go over and take a look at this. Why The Boys is selling out. We're going to start with number 1. Easiest one. Popularity of the show. It's a popular show. It's been a huge ratings bonanza for Prime Video ever since season 1. It's a big popular show. People love it. It's maintained a level of excellence throughout all of its seasons. And so the popularity, I think, is reason 1. Reason 2, I think this is key. The continuous story buildup. Now, unlike one of my all-time favorite shows, Supernatural. I love Supernatural. But that show was a story of the season. Every season had its main story. The characters were mostly consistent, but it was a different story every season. By the time we got to the end of season 15, they were not still hunting the yellow-eyed demon. Like, that was long gone, right? Whereas with The Boys, this story of Butcher and Homelander and Huey, who unfortunately in the most awful graphic of ways got swept up into it, this has been the story. Yes, there have been twists and turns and different angles that every season has gone through, but at the end of the day, it was about Homelander's a problem and Butcher and the boys are trying to solve it. And we're coming not just to the end of a show, we're coming to the climax of a singular story that we've followed for 5 seasons. So I think that's one of the reasons it's been selling out. The third reason I want to suggest that all these boys seasons are selling out is it may only be 24 hours, but in today's social media world, a lot of people want to make sure they don't get spoiled. A lot of people are wanting to make sure, well, if I wait that one day, I'm on Twitter 23 out of the 24 hours a day, and therefore I may get spoiled. Listen, I'm not saying this is the case for most people, but I'll bet you dollars to dimes that there are a lot of people who bought tickets to go see this thing the day early simply because they wanted to make sure they knew about it before anybody else did and could possibly spoil it for them. The fourth reason I want to suggest is just the theater, the 4DX experience. You know, I've only been to a 4DX theater once.
Yeah, me too.
Mine was for Twisters. Yours was for Send Help,
Send
right?
Help.
Twisters was a wild ride in the 4DX. But I'm sure there's a lot of people who've probably never done 4DX, and this has given everybody a good excuse.
I just can't imagine on a show like this when they hit you in the face with water or something what it's going to correspond to.
I guarantee when there's one of those scenes where somebody's body just explodes
Oh,
and the
yeah,
blood
you get
splatters,
splattered.
psst, you're going to get sprayed in
Because
the
Send
face.
Help did a little of that, and I was cackling with whoever programmed because that programming was clever for Send Help, but this has got to be the ultimate.
I wanted to do F1 and I missed it. That would have been great.
F1 would have been a great one to see
Yeah.
in 4DX. So again, not a ton of people, but I think there are a bunch of people who are just like, oh, this is a great reason. I've been waiting for an excuse to go to a 4DX theater. That's that. And then the fifth one I think is the biggest one. For all of us who've been following along with the show, you want to watch the finale with 200 other fans. You want to watch The Boys at least once with a huge crowd of people that go, "Ah!" or "Ooh," like when a guy extends his testicles and uses them as nunchucks. That's something you want to watch with other people. in the
Imagine what
theater.
your chair's going to do.
Oh. I didn't know they had rumble sensors down there. But it's true. Just going back to the Gen Z, like you want to go with a group of friends and be surrounded by hundreds of other strangers, all of which are big boys fans right along with you. And you want to experience this together. And yeah, so those are the 5. I'm still just thinking about the rumbling in the seats right there. That is why I think, all these screenings have sold out. Rob, do you have any kind of thought? What do you think about any of these? Do any of these stand out to you? Do you have any other reasons you want to add to that as to why these things are selling out?
I think they're all good. But I'm with you. I mean, The Boys is a show, like Elizabeth tapped out on it. She's like, I can't take it. It was not her thing. It was too crass. And I watched The Boys alone. And I always want to look around. The dogs they look at me like, why are you cackling? And I feel like I wish this is a show that demands people watch it together.
Yes.
And to sit in a theater full of people I mean, I would only imagine the end episode is going to be bananas in some way, shape, or form. And I would like to see that with other people, because you can see how depraved and debauched everybody else is, because they're laughing along with you at the same stuff at a show that leans into it in a way that I've never seen. There's things in The Boys that I've never seen on TV or in the movies ever. And you want to go, did you just see that, to other people? And you can't. So I think this is part of it. I think that's the big deal. But I also think, I think this show is, for me, I don't have a ticket, but the reason I would like to go is the show's always been relatively cinematic. A lot of these shows are filmed in widescreen. I just like seeing things on a big screen.
Yeah.
And I would like this show, I bet, is going to be it's going to have a banger of a final episode, I would imagine. And that would be worth going to the theater to see.
Yeah,
So,
and you know what, to your point about, like, to me, the big one is reason number 5. It's getting to watch with everybody. Because as much as I've loved the last couple of seasons of The Boys, I've had to watch them alone because of Anne's graduating and all that kind of stuff and finishing up all her dissertations and stuff. She couldn't keep up with The Boys as of the last season. So I had to watch the last season solo, and then I've had to watch this season solo. And I've loved it, but it's not as fun as when you're watching it with one other person, let alone with 200 other people. So I think that's a big part of it. And anyway, guys, question is for you. Are you one of the lucky people who managed to secure their tickets to The Boys finale? If so, what's your main motivation for wanting to go see it in the theaters with everybody? Maybe it's something that we haven't even discussed here yet. Whatever you guys feel, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? In a recent interview with Variety, Melissa Barrea, who was not invited to return to the Scream franchise after her social media comments on the war in Gaza, expressed deep skepticism regarding the commercial success of Scream 7, explicitly accusing Paramount and Spyglass of falsifying the film's record-breaking financial data. Now, despite reports that the sequel grossed over $207 million worldwide, which makes it the highest grossing installment of the entire franchise, Barrea claimed that she does not believe the official figures are accurate. Beyond questioning the film's profitability, Barrea leveled harsh criticisms at the cast members who chose to return to the film's production in her absence. When asked if those who signed on for Scream 7 seemed scabby for effectively crossing the line, she agreed 100%, stating that those actors will now have to live with that decision.
And the money they made.
And all the money they made to pay their bills. All right. Look, let me be clear about one thing first. I love Barrea. I think she's terrific. Those 2 Scream films she starred in are 2 of my favorites. I mean, I hadn't liked a Scream film since the original one until the ones that her and Jenna Ortega were in. I really like them. And by the way, she is magnificent in The Heights. She's incredible in The Heights. Also, loved her in Abigail. Loved her. And I've only caught a couple of episodes. I'm just started recently to get caught up on it, but that new one she's doing with Simu Liu from Shang-Chi.
Oh, yeah.
I'm freezing on the name of it.
Yeah, it's got a weird name.
Anyway, she's really good in that too.
Yeah.
I think she's a terrific performer. I am a fan, and I look forward to watching all the stuff. Copenhagen. Thank you, Joseph, in the live chat. Copenhagen. I look forward to watching her live performances moving forward. Can't wait to see more of her. That being said, while I am a fan, that doesn't mean I can't criticize certain things she says and does. Now, look, I would obviously not hold it against her being still angry about the fact that she wasn't invited back for season 7. I mean, you have a right to have an opinion about anything and to say anything. But that also means other people have the right to not want to be associated with you, right? I mean, it goes both ways. And, she had a certain point of view of something, totally fair. But the people who made the Scream movies don't want to be associated with that. Totally fair. So whatever, I take no sides in that. So I don't hold it against her that she's angry about how that all went down. She has every right to feel that way. However, when you cross a precipice of now sounding like a whiny child, when you start flailing and lashing out at everything else around you. For example, she's in this business. She knows better. Paramount does not report the box office numbers for their movie. That's not how it works. A third-party independent organization called Rentrack, they are the ones who gather the global box office information and put out the actual financial reports. It does not come from Spyglass. It does not come from Paramount. And she's been in this business long enough to know better. This whole thing about now, you know what? I don't even believe their box office numbers. Well, now you just sound like a whiny little baby when you do that. And I'm a fan. Don't get me, I am a fan of hers. But that type of whining is not attractive. It's not appealing. And so that's number one, like starting to just lash out saying things like, I don't even believe their box. Listen, I hate Scream 7. Okay. You guys know how much I hate that movie. I call it one of the 3 worst Hollywood wide release produced films in history. It's that awful. I think it is garbage beyond garbage. But when I saw it, the theater was packed. It was absolutely packed. It shouldn't have been packed. I don't know why we were all there, because that movie sucks. But it was packed nonetheless.
I don't know why we were all there.
So to come out and start saying, I don't even believe their box office numbers. Well, then you either sound stupid because you've been around the business long enough that you should know better about how it works, and you sound like you're just whining. The second thing is then deciding to lash out at her co-stars in the movie. Listen, this is a business. This is people's jobs. Not everybody gets offered Abigail. Not everybody gets offered to star in their own show with Simu Liu. Most actors in this business, 97% of the actors in this business, are dreaming and looking forward to just getting whatever their next role is. And in any kind of environment like that, you and your employer may have issues. That's nobody else's business. That's nobody else's business. So while you want to whine and cry and complain about how dare they continue to work and earn a living, well, what were they supposed to do? Like, I didn't hear any of them take the studios. I didn't hear any of them go public and start talking about what an idiot you are. They just like, hey, this is none of our business. This is between you and the producers. Has nothing to do with them. So I just think it's totally understandable for somebody like her in the position that she's in to feel angry and feel resentment about the overall situation. I get that. I don't hold that against anybody. But to come out and start taking wild make-believe conspiracy theory shots at, they falsified the box office. No, they didn't, because they're not the ones who give the box office data. And then taking shots, calling your fellow actors scabs because they had the audacity of not sacrificing their own careers to, what, stand in solidarity with you over your own issue?
While you get other jobs?
While you continue to get other jobs?
This is it.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah, well, it's just like, look, in a way, she was kind of walked into it by the journalist, just from what I read, but she's also an adult and she understands the industry, like you said. So she should have been able to have guardrails there. But to say, oh, do you feel like they crossed the line, like as if it's a picket line? This isn't the union of Melissa Barrea. They didn't sign up to only work on movies that she approves, or to, if she doesn't want to be a part of it, they have to be like remove themselves as well. You're not a union unto yourself. So you made a decision. It was a personal decision. They all respected your decision. No one came out and said, Melissa is wrong for this. Melissa's ruining our franchise and our livelihood. No one said that. They supported her. And then they went about their business.
Yeah. Again, listen, and let me restate again. I'm a big fan of hers. I love her work, and I'm excited to see her in more stuff. I just think, again, she's old enough, she's experienced enough, she's been in this business long enough that she should have known better, or somebody should have told her these are some stupid ass things to say. And I say this as the world's biggest hater of Scream 7. I dare you to try to find somebody who hates that movie more than I do. Anyway, Rob, listen, it's a precarious position. Being in this business also means you got to watch what you say, because the things you say get around to everybody. I don't know. What's your takeaway from this?
Well, I think that her position about her fellow cast members and things was kind of odd. I mean, I can understand being sore, losing out on a role for whatever reason. But, I think we kind of live in an age of unreason where people are very quick they want to project a certain kind of, I don't know, a loyalty or a fealty or an understanding on social media. They want to be perceived as doing the right thing in ways, shapes, or forms. And I completely sympathize with that. But I think in her case, like you pointed out, Paramount doesn't gin up numbers. And so for her to come out and say that leads me to then that not understanding that, which is something you can see on any box office report, comes from Rent Track or whatever. It says right there. That makes me think that the rest of your opinions are just as ill-conceived. And I would think what it's important to do, and I wish everybody would do this, is if you decide that you believe in something, it's important to delve into those beliefs and find out if you are correct or incorrect by doing a little bit of examination and detective work. Like the whole thing with the box office is a perfect example. That's 5 minutes. That's a cursory Google search. It always kills me about how few people will type anything. They'll just look at something on TikTok and believe it. And I'm like,
yeah, read a headline. That's it.
That's it. Read and try and find alternative points of view and find out a median in the middle. And that thing, and then why go after, look, it's hard enough to get a job in Hollywood. And to go after your fellow actors for working? You can't do that. Mm-mm. I mean, it's hard enough. And if you're part of the Scream franchise, more power to people that get jobs. I mean, Sydney was not in your last movie. How do you think she felt?
Yeah, it's her. Yeah, I did. I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't hear anybody, including Barrea, stand up and say, hey, Sydney, why am I freezing on the name of the actress who plays Sydney? We're all freezing on it.
You literally just said it. Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
Somebody in the chat.
Yeah, somebody in the chat will throw it in.
Campbell.
Neve Campbell.
We literally just said it.
Like, I didn't hear when it came around that Neve Campbell wasn't going to come back because they were shortchanging her for how much they were willing to pay her as the main star of the franchise.
Now that's something to stand on ceremony with.
Yeah, I didn't hear Barrea come out and defend and stand up for Neve Campbell and say, hey, wait a minute. We're not going to do this movie without Neve Campbell because this is her franchise. Right. You should pay her what she's owed. I didn't see her do that. And by the way, one other thing about the box office reporting, Paramount is a publicly traded company. That means you put out, again, remember, it has nothing to do with Paramount. That's Rent Track. But even if it did have something to do with Paramount, even if it did, which it doesn't, as a publicly traded company, there are massive consequences for publishing false public financial information. Massive consequences. So again, it's just a kind of a ridiculous.
Well, it's also, this performance activism is if you got to make sure you're consistent in what you're standing up for.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about all this? Now, despite all the crap I've just been talking, I remain an unapologetic Barrea fan. I think she's a wonderful performer, and I look forward to watching her career with great interest. So all that, but that doesn't take away from the fact that these things she just said were really ill-conceived and really, really stupid. Anyway, whatever you guys think about it, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this. Boy, I've been dreading saying this name out loud. Actress Korinka Kilcher. I hope I said it right. has filed a lawsuit against filmmaker James Cameron,
Oh, man.
and the Walt Disney Company, alleging that her facial features were used without her permission to create the character Neytiri in the Avatar franchise. The legal complaint, filed in early May, claims that Cameron systematically extracted Kilcher's likeness from a photograph taken from when she was 14 years old during the promotion of her breakout role as Pocahontas in The New World that she did with Colin Farrell. Now, according to the filing, her traits, specifically her lower jaw, face, mouth, all that kind of stuff, were incorporated into early concept sketches, 3D models, and final CGI character renders played by Zoe Saldana. Kilcher argues that this unauthorized use constitutes a violation of her identity and cultural heritage, particularly given the franchise's themes of indigenous struggle. The lawsuit also highlights a 2010 meeting where Cameron reportedly gifted her a photo of Neytiri, saying, "You were the original inspiration." He then later in 2025 acknowledged in a public statement that he based the look of Neytiri off of her. She is seeking punitive damages and a portion of the Avatar franchise proceeds. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Now, look, let me say this. At first, when I first started hearing about the story and I first started reading about it, I thought, well, this sounds like a pathetic money grab. Hey, that Neytiri kind of looks like me a little bit. Give me $5 billion. And maybe a little bit of that is true. But guys, when you publicly admit
Yeah.
that I base the look of this character off of this actress from her performance in another movie, and I admit it to her face, and then I make public statements acknowledging it, the term "screwed yourself" was created specifically for this situation. Now, look, I'm going to tell you right now that this is not going to go to trial. This is going to get settled. It's going to get settled out of court. I 100%. And they are going to have to pay money. James Cameron and Disney are going to have to pay money to make this go away. By the way, she was also in The Life of Chuck. She played Virginia in Life of Chuck. She was also in Yellowstone. She played Angela Blue Thunder in like a bunch of episodes of Yellowstone, at any rate. And so when you do that, you kind of open yourself up. Look, is it a stretch to think I deserve millions and millions of dollars because the only reason Avatar made any money is because Neytiri kind of looked like me? No. But do you legally have a claim? You do. And so I'm sitting here telling you, Rob, I don't know what the final dollar figure is going to be, but this will not go to trial because Disney knows you can't win. You can't win. You literally have public admissions that you did what she is accusing you of doing. And according to the way the laws are structured, that makes you guilty.
And
So they are going to send in mediators and they are going to work out a dollar figure and they're going to pay her a dollar figure and this won't go to trial and eventually this will go away. At least that's the only conceivable way I see this happening. So I don't know, Rob, you hear about this. Like, listen, we're in a business where people suing each other like, that's my idea. That looks like my left foot or whatever. This is commonplace. What do you think about the details of this one specifically and how do you see it playing out?
Well, I think it's a little silly to say this because, you know, they based E.T.'s eyes on Albert Einstein. I mean, throughout cinema history, they have based the look of things on other things, whether it's people. And in the case of these characters, like when you see Sigourney Weaver's Avatar, it looks like Sigourney Weaver. Yeah, she's got a Na'vi facial structure. And to look at this actress, by the way, she started out, didn't she debut in Whale Rider?
it could have been.
Oh, that might have been her, actually.
And so, you know, so her face, you look at her face as inspiration for what these characters, this alien, but you're not using her likeness. The Na'vi look like the people that they are based. It's all motion capture.
But
I mean, Jake Sully looks like Sam Worthington.
I believe that the difference is they were bringing out that they used it in the 3D modeling, like her face in the 3D modeling.
That they used a specific photograph
Right.
of her to model the face after.
But as the basis of a shape or something, but it's clear that the actors' faces are what those characters are modeled after. I mean, I think the overall look of the Na'vi probably, but they're not using her likeness. You know, they haven't violated. It's not like, I don't think anybody could look at any of those characters and go, that girl looks like this character, because Kate Winslet's avatar looks like Kate Winslet, you know, and so
But she got paid and she was in the movie.
Well, but that's what I mean. But it looks like her because they use the actors' faces for the motion capture. Now, you know, basing it, like, I love The New World, by the way. That's one of my favorite Terrence Malick movies. I think it's a great movie, and she's great in it. But I don't necessarily. I think it's a little dubious to say. And you know, James Cameron was congratulating her. Yeah, like, I love your face. I'm like, this was like the basis of the entire Na'vi race. But that was, you know, you could have been inspired by a painting or a million other different.
Well, let me read Cameron's quote from it.
Go for it.
It says, her legal team asserts that they only fully realized the full extent of the extraction in 2025 in a video of James Cameron admitting that she was, quote unquote, the actual source for the character design of Neytiri. Beyond claims of misappropriation, the suit invokes California's recently enacted deep fake laws, arguing that the digital replication of her as a teenager of being 14 years old in the film's romantic scenes constitutes unauthorized sexual depiction. Then it goes on to say, Klitschko is seeking compensation, punitive damage, as well as a share of the profits from the multi-billion-dollar film. So James Cameron straight up says she is the source for the design of Neytiri.
Not just that they saw her picture and was like, let's design something original.
There's no debate after that.
No, it is cut and dry, but what does that mean exactly? Like, she's the source of the design, like that could be the length of her face. You know, they're not using her likeness.
It sounds like they did.
James Cameron says they did.
It sounds like they used it in the 3D rendering.
Well,
as like a structure.
But that's not what he said. He said they used it as the basis for the characters, but the characters look
specifically for Neytiri.
Yeah, for
that
Neytiri.
She was the source of the design.
But
look of
Neytiri
Neytiri
still looks like Zoe Saldana.
She does,
not
but
as much as Sigourney Weaver's character looks like Sigourney Weaver. I mean, again, it's just difficult to say. Like, here's the thing.
I mean, I think when he says Neytiri, they had to come up with a design for what does a female Na'vi look like. And just like if you're an artist and you're drawing a sketch of something, you have to be like, there's a lot of people that will look at photographs of other people, and just artists do that all the time. You know, you're sitting in studios and you're looking at movie stars throughout the ages. You're looking at other characters, and people are doodling like, oh, I really like her face. We could do something with this, but that doesn't mean you're using their likeness in the final film.
Well, but
again,
if you go out
James
and
Cameron's specific words she is the source for the design of the character.
If you go out in publicity,
there's no judge that's going to let you off the hook for that.
You use
there's
that
no
in
judge that'll let you off the hook.
But if you took her face and put it up against the final render of Neytiri, I bet there's an argument to be made that it doesn't really look like her.
But that's the problem, Rob. There's no argument to be made. Let's put it this way. Let's say I have my beloved Henry Cavill standee, right? And it goes missing. It goes missing. Right about the same time, you happen to have a Henry Cavill standee.
Robert.
With a lot of the similar little defects as the one I have. Now, we can go into court and say, well, are they the exact same defects? I'm not sure. Maybe that scratches from John's. Maybe it's not. But none of that will matter when I go, Your Honor, here's a video of Rob telling his friend that he took my standee of Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
That's what we have here.
But you've been Matt Murdock.
But that's
even Matt Murdock.
But that's literally an object that I stole from you. Whereas, I mean, I see
But I have a recording admission of you of doing it.
That's
right, but I think saying that you're inspired or somebody was the basis of a design That's one thing. But I mean, you don't see her face as a character.
Again, I'm just telling you from a legal point of view, when you have two instances of the director admitting we did the initial design of this character off of you, and then later on video admitting she was the actual like reference for making the character of Neytiri, well, that's it. There's nothing left to talk about. It's done. From a legal point of view, they're sunk.
It also sets up a dangerous precedent, because would you imagine this same conversation and someone's talking about Tom Cruise's likeness? I mean, you'd never get away with that.
But you don't see her likeness in the film.
But if
that's why I think it's like, I've been inspired by a million different people.
No, but see, that's the disconnect here. If it just comes down to inspiration, I'm with you. If they actually use that in a 3D rendering and modeled it specifically of her likeness, they could have thrown her some cash for that.
Again, in the first thing when he talked to her when she was younger, and he said that she was the actual original inspiration.
Yeah.
If that's all there was here, it could be questionable. But once James Gunn on video says that Kilcher was quote unquote the actual
James Cameron
source.
You said James Gunn.
Did I say James Gunn? So thanks for correcting me. When James Cameron on video says the actual literal words that Kilcher was the actual, let me get the actual, that she was not the inspiration, she was the actual source of the design of Neytiri. There's no legal team in the world that's going to get you out of that. None. They're going to have to settle. They're going to have to cut her a check.
Probably.
Whether it's for like 2 million, 5 million, 20 million, I don't know. But if this goes to court, if this actually went to trial, they're dead. You are not going to be able to convince a judge or a jury otherwise. Once you actually have the defendant saying, yeah, she is the actual source of the design, case closed. There's no getting out of that legally. You're done. So, yeah.
Word to the wise, unless you got someone like paid under contract, don't be saying you use their likeness.
I don't know. I think a 10-foot tall Na'vi, saying that, I think there's a case to be made.
That no, not once you admit you did it. Once I have you on video,
but
when he says she's the actual source, that's it.
Of course.
He didn't say inspiration. He didn't say
the source,
it gave me an idea. He said she's the actual source.
But the source for the real question would be, did she get used in the film? When you're talking
her
about
likeness was, according to
they
James
used
Cameron,
her likeness to
was.
design what the character looked like,
and without permission. That's the thing. When he says here's an actual photograph, and we designed it based on this photograph of this actress without her permission and without payment.
But then you would have to show a final version of the character that looks like the actress.
No, not if you have an admission from the director that he did it, and they have an admission from
Only if he didn't admit
people
it.
are inspired. Okay, people use things as the basis of things all the time.
So does
yes,
AI.
but they don't say, they'll use words like inspired by or motivated by. He actually used the phrase that this actress is the actual source of the look of Neytiri.
Yeah, but then he said it, absolutely. But I still think you'd still have to prove that there was something damaging or something that's worth
His
paying
own
out.
words proved it. And you don't have to prove damages. That's the thing about the laws.
Well, I don't
have
know
to
the
prove
law,
damages.
so-
You just have to prove that they used, especially in Hollywood, that you use somebody's likeness with you and knowingly use their likeness. It couldn't be accidental or coincidence. Because if you could argue it was accidental or coincidence, like she couldn't just say, hey, I think that Neytiri character looks a little bit like me. I'm going to sue them.
Right.
No, you actually have to demonstrate that they knowingly used your likeness without your permission in producing something. And we have James Cameron admitting
I agree with that, but then I would need to see where did that use show up? How was that? You can say anything you want, but then you'd have to prove that that was actually done.
But remember,
this isn't
the accuser saying it; it's the actual defendant.
Of course, but
it's. I'm just telling you, man. From a legal point of view, they're dead. They're dead. They're gonna have to settle, and it won't go to court. It will not. I guarantee you, this will not go to trial.
It also, I don't think it's going to be exorbitant. They'll settle for whatever.
Yeah. It's not going to end up being 5% of Avatar's box office. Like they're gonna have to cut her a check for $700 million. It's gonna be like, my guess, and this part I'm just guessing, it's gonna be like 2 to 10. I think they're gonna have to cut her a check for $2 to $10 million, and then just kind of, and then they're gonna send James Cameron to a class about what not to say in public. Because if he didn't say these things, they wouldn't be having a problem right now.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you make of all this? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? A new Planet of the Apes film is officially now in development at 20th Century Studios, with Matt Shakman, the director of Marvel's Fantastic Four First Steps, set to helm the project. The screenplay is being written by Josh Friedman, who previously penned The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and co-wrote Shakman's Fantastic Four entry. While the plot details remain strictly under wraps, the film is described as an original story that returns to the familiar setting where apes are the dominant species ruling over a primitive human population. The announcement has sparked discussion regarding the film's placement in the franchise's timeline, as initial reports suggest that it will not be a direct continuation of the 2024 film Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. However, 20th Century Studios boss Steve Asbell, who Rob knows very well, offered a cryptic response to these reports, questioning how one defines a continuation, which has led to speculation that the movie might be a spin-off or a side story within the same continuity rather than a hard reboot. Honestly, to me, it sounds more like a reboot. Anyway, Rob, Matt Shakman, director of Fantastic Four, who I also believe directed WandaVision, if I'm not mistaken, best show Marvel's ever done. He's doing a new Planet of the Apes. What's your takeaway from this?
Well, I think the Shakman-Friedman team is a great team. You know, I'm a Josh Friedman fan. I think he's a really good writer, and I think that Matt Shakman has proved himself time and time again. And look, I think that the thing about the Planet of the Apes movies, one of the great, I think, successes in terms of advancing IP was what Fox did with their, beginning with Rise of the Planet of the Apes, when they started, you know, Dawn and then War. Those films are way better than they have any.
Yeah, I agree.
When I saw...
Better than the Tim Burton one?
Yes. I mean, I loved Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I loved the CG, you know, Andy Serkis coming in and the CG apes. I thought
he could have been nominated for best actor or best supporting actor.
I mean, really what they did are incredible. And, you know, Steve Asbell, I like to call him the quiet king of franchises, because in his tenure, he does something that a lot of other studios should benefit from. The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was probably the most expensive of the sequels, because he brought back Hellraiser. He brought back, I want to say it wasn't Single White Female, but it was something else that was on Hulu. He did Alien, Predator, now Devil Wears Prada 2. But he's got a very smart way. What he does with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, they made that movie for $30 million less than they made War for the Planet of the Apes. So what he does is he kind of caps the money they're spending. And these Planet of the Apes movies ain't cheap because of the CG in them. But so I thought Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was a really respectable entry. And
I quite enjoyed. I don't think the best of the franchise, but I thought it was quite enjoyable.
Quite enjoyable. And it wasn't a direct sequel. It carried on. It's still the same timeline. So if
just further on.
Yeah, if this movie, like I dream of a new trilogy. Like, so, because now you have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Well, let's have Empire of the Planet of the Apes.
I like that.
Yeah, and then Crusade of the Planet of the Apes, and then Fall of the Planet of the Apes. And that would kind of lead into where the original Planet of the Apes starts, kind of. But I think you could do something like that. And I think Steve's got a handle on it. He's an incredible story guy. He loves genre material. And I think, you know, while I haven't loved everything that they've done, you know, like Alien Romulus, a lot of people loved it. It seemed like an Alien's greatest hits movie, but the movie worked. And I really like Predator Badlands. And I think what Steve is doing is he's managing IP better than any executive in Hollywood today, because he's putting great filmmakers that have great ideas, and he's capping the budgets. He's making sure you're not making a franchise picture for $250 million. And if you can make a Planet of the Apes film for $30 million less than the previous Planet of the Apes film and have it do well, that is what great studio leadership is all about. And I think, you know what? Hiring Josh Friedman and Shackman to work together on this, what a great team. Awesome. I can't wait. And by the way, I love this IP. I've loved the Planet of the Apes since I was a little kid. The first Planet of the Apes movie changed my life when
Did
I
they
was
have
like
some
5.
stinkers? Yes.
Yes.
But it's so classic.
Yeah, and I mean, if you watch the original 5 Apes movies, they're bonkers. All as they get deeper into the, escape, conquest, and battle.
I mean, underneath the planet is like what?
That was Beneath. That was the
Beneath,
second
not
one.
underneath. Beneath, yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
By the way-
we now reveal ourselves to the bomb. So good.
I've seen a bunch of people in the live chat saying, well, why reboot it? Well, by the way, we don't know that they're rebooting it. Maybe it'll be a spin-off. Maybe it'll be set another 200 years after the events
Yeah.
of Kingdom, or it may be a reboot. And I see some people ask, well, why would you do a reboot? The last 3 were good. Or, I saw somebody in the live chat say, why rebooting? This new one just set up a new trilogy. Well, the temptation to do a reboot is because the box office results of the movies have been this. War for the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes made like almost $500 million. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes made a Black Adam. It made under $400 million.
And that's scary for that budget.
Yeah, for the budget they had, that's not great. It's not a complete disaster, but it's not great. So their box office has been this. So that's as much motivation as you need to maybe reboot. Again, we're not saying that they are rebooting it. They may very well just may say this is the same reality. It's 50 years later or 100 years later or a continent over or something like that. We'll see. But I agree. You know what the other interesting thing about the Matt Shackman thing is? Who owns 20th Century? Disney. I think, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier this morning. I think part of this, who was mentioning this to me, that a part of this is Disney making sure they keep Matt in-house.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't have another Fantastic Four movie to do for at least a few years. And, they're going to be all tied up with the Avengers stuff. And I think they want to make sure they keep Matt right where he is and keep him very comfortable. It's like, hey, you need something to do for the next couple of years? How about a Planet of the Apes movie, buddy?
I totally agree. And they probably have a great look. People love the Planet of the Apes franchise. And I think that, again, this is a new IP. And look, even at $400 million, whatever Kingdom made, because it was made for $30 million less, these films also have great life in the aftermarket space, whether it's streaming, SVOD, physical media. I mean, people watch these movies endlessly. So they do very, very well. And this is there's an animated series. There was a live action series in the 70s. I mean, where, though, 20th Century Fox or 20th Century Studios, where is the original 5 movies in 4K? Huh?
I don't even think they're on streaming, are they?
I don't know, but
I'm
they
not
were
really
one of
sure.
they led the charge with every other video format. But when Disney bought Fox, it's like, we'll get to it later. Well,
All
it's
right,
later.
guys. It's much later now. Question is for you. What do you think about this? We've got the director of the Fantastic Four and WandaVision is going to be doing a new Planet of the Apes movie. Now, it's not really clear about whether it'll be some kind of distant spin-off further down the line in the future or more of a reboot. But whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, and that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who joined us live. The thousands of you who've been in our live chat. I've been reading along with it. You guys have been hilarious. And we look forward to seeing you back here again tomorrow. Again, keep your eyes open on the channel because I've got 2 out of theater reactions coming today. I'm about to go run out the door and go see Mortal Kombat 2. So I'll have that up. And then a little bit later tonight, I'm going to be going to see the highly critically rated, last I checked, 97% Sheep Detectives. See how that turns out. And I hope you guys will come back and check those reviews a little bit later. I want to thank, of course, our technical director, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
Writer, director, producer extraordinaire, Robert Meyer-Burnett.
See you tomorrow.
And most importantly, big thank you to you guys for joining us. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.